It's
So
so rich and so necessary for people to realize, like, one, the connection to obedience and like the
yeah,
timeliness of
yeah,
God's word, right? It's not just like a maybe someday you should,
yeah,
maybe someday you can, maybe it's not really a suggestion. It's
right,
really a
right.
command.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
command.
And
And
he's a
it's
good,
for
good
your
father.
good.
Right.
Exactly.
He's a
He's
good, good father. Like, and I don't
so
know about
good.
you, but a lot of time I've thought, oh, he's a grumpy, grumpy father, or
Yeah.
he's a father who doesn't really like me all that much. But like,
Right.
he is actually a father who adores you. Like
Yeah.
everybody that's watching this or listening to this,
Yeah.
he loves you so much and loves to talk with you.
Yeah.
Whether you're bitching and moaning, which
Yeah.
I do, like if you read half the Psalms, David and all the guys
Totally.
were there's a lot of bitching and moaning in there, right? He's okay with that. He's a big
Yeah.
enough father to
Yeah.
go, yeah, you're adorable. You're
Right.
adorable when you're mad. Talk to me about that. All of that, right? But it's
Yeah.
that whole thing of like, he is also a God that's got every solution we need.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's going to give it to us when we need it. Other times he's going to encourage us in the seasons where we don't have it yet because something else needs to line up, all of those
Yeah.
things. But it's amazing that we are a part of his solution for this crazy, crazy world and these wild, wild humans, right? Like
It's so
we're a
cool.
huge part of his solution, especially as encouragers. Like
Right.
you are doing such incredible work, Tamara. Like you are changing lives. You are helping people be more of who God created them to be. And they need people like you, people that are listening, right? Like they need your unique voice to inspire them, encourage them in the day to day. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's so
Thank
cool.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I think sometimes when I process like my business plan, right? And
Yeah.
I've had so many businesses over the course of the last 2, or what is it? Not 2 yet, decades, but
Right.
I think about like the business plan and the business model is so different than what I ever imagined that it would be.
Right.
And honestly, the more I follow the will of God associated to it, the more simple it becomes and the
Right.
more abstract it becomes, to the
Yeah.
point where I'm like, I actually don't know what I'm doing half the time.
Right. And that's okay. It's one of those things where I'm probably going to murder this quote that Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was an incredible, commander over our armed forces during World War II, he would say that planning is essential while most plans don't ever come to pass, right? It's the process of planning. And that's what I've found when we talk with God. Sometimes he will like put a strategy on our heart, or we'll go and learn a tactic, or a whatever, a sequence of activities, that kind of stuff. We'll go learn those things and it will be a part of what we need. But sometimes God's going to use it the way we thought, right? And sometimes he's going to use it in an entirely different way. It's that whole thing of, you know, focusing on our part, doing our part, but also being open for God to do some amazing things. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you associate it to worry, which is often with the speed in which we can exist, with the
Right.
circumstances in which we can exist, with the society and cultural scenarios like COVID, like, well, we could enter so many things even since COVID that have
Pick the
transpired.
list, right?
A little
Exactly.
crazy,
Yeah.
but we can get in that state of worry being our reset, worry being the preset and the reset of like,
Right.
we just keep going back to worry. And what are some ways in which you have released that, whether from your childhood and moving into it, but this unknown territory in which we often exist, knowing God and being known by God for sure, but not understanding exactly what we're supposed to be doing day to day, minute by minute
Oh,
here.
love this. We got 4 hours. Is that like we're gonna be like Asbury?
Let's
You're like, this thing was
go.
supposed to be an hour. It's gonna go 4 days. Okay, so
We got a
one
revival.
thing,
Let's
yeah,
go.
right, exactly. I love it. So one thing is, if somebody's that's listening or watching is a worrier, or they know worriers, right? First and foremost, what's important to remember is we're in good company, right? Like
Mm, mm,
I don't know about you,
mm.
but I love Joshua. Like
Yeah.
that story in the Old Testament. I mean, buried in Numbers, where he and Caleb stand up against 10 scouts saying, we can't take the promised land. Caleb mostly and Joshua quietly are saying, heck yeah, we can. God says it's ours. Let's go take it. Right. And you wait a few years. Joshua is tasked with running the whole show, right? Leading the Israelites into the promised land that God created. And if you look at Joshua 1, right? God tells Joshua 3 different times, be bold and courageous, for I'm with you wherever you go. Now, you don't tell somebody that's already bold and courageous to be bold and courageous,
That's good.
which means Joshua was not bold and courageous. I like to
Yeah.
think that Joshua was worrying a little or a lot.
Mm, mm,
And God's saying, hey, kiddo, hey, I got you. Be bold and courageous. Walk this thing out because I'm walking with you. And it's that I'm with you every step of the way. So keep your eyes on me. I got you. Right. So I and you look at the disciples. I mean, criminy sakes alive. Like those guys, what freak shows. I love
Oh,
them. Like,
they're a
oh,
mess.
I mean,
Yes.
I do think that God selected them because, oh, we need that kind of screwed up. We need that example of
Yep,
screwed up. We need
yep,
that
yep.
kind of case
We can
study of
all
screwed
see
up.
ourselves
Right, like,
in
is that
their
pick your disciples. Are you a doubter? Are you a go-getter that makes
Good.
tons of mistakes? Are you somebody that
Yep.
puts your foot in their mouth? All that stuff. Like, pick a disciple. We got examples, right?
Yes.
And it's that whole thing of so know that just because you are having fear does not mean that you are disqualified, right?
Good,
God
good.
works through us, and God actually designed our brains to have a little bit of fear. I mean, there is literally a part of our brains, about, an almond size part of our brain, the amygdala, that is something that keeps us aware of things that we should be afraid of, right? Saber-tooth tigers, dark alleys, all of those things. I just think that part of it, especially if we are worriers, we have built that muscle up so it's hypersensitive. So
Mm,
it's so funny
mm.
to, think about that. Like when I am tempted to worry, I will often say, "Woo, I'm really tempted to worry about that." Right?
Mm.
Because even that kind of allows me to catch it before it fully hits me. It's a little bit of like, do you remember dodgeball? I bet you're an
Oh,
athlete, so
yeah.
you
Oh
would
my
probably
gosh.
love dodgeball. Did you love
I
dodgeball?
do, but I definitely got hit in the nose a couple times. Like, by the cool kid, like the jock that's just trying to show off, and I'm just like,
Exactly.
"Really? I'm the cheerleader, I get hit in the
Come
nose."
on.
It's like
Yeah.
perfect case scenario.